there. I've been a Yankee fan since I'm 4 years old. Mickey's my favorite, and I had to be there. It's the greatest moment of my life.
I don't care if I never get back on this roof. Root for the Yankees.
I brought my ball and a pen to get some autographs if I get a hold of any of them.
Once we all arrived in Lower Manhattan, confusion set in. Members of the group got separated, but the excitement remained about the prayers that were answered to make this day a reality.
We love the Yankees. Nativity has been going crazy. We've been so excited. We have waited for this day for a while, and we're really excited, and we're happy that the Yankees are just doing it, and we hope to be here again next year.
And the good news is that they all made it into the celebration here at City Hall. They all have seats. They're being treated like VIPs. And even though it all ends today, the lesson plan at Nativity School is bound to include the Yankees for some time. We're live in Lower Manhattan. Art McFarland, Channel 7 Eyewitness News.
Oh, Arthur, thank you very much. We want the folks at home to think about this as an event, a celebration in two parts. We have, of course, the ticker tape parade up the Canyon of Heroes, and then we have that fabulous program at City Hall. That's where Mark Stevens and Diana Williams join us live.
Yeah, Roz, the fans are really getting revved up.
I had to be there. I've been a Yankee fan since I'm 4 years old. Mickey's my favorite, and I had to be there. It's the greatest moment of my life.
I don't care if I never get back on this roof. Root for the Yankees.
I brought my ball and a pen to get some autographs if I get a hold of any of them.
Once we all arrived in Lower Manhattan, confusion set in. Members of the group got separated. And the good news is that they all made it into the celebration here at City Hall. They all have seats. They're being treated like VIPs. And even though it all ends today, the lesson plan at Nativity School is bound to include the Yankees for some time. We're live in Lower Manhattan. Art McFarland, Channel 7 Eyewitness News.
Oh, Arthur, thank you very much. We want the folks at home to think about this as an event, a celebration in two parts. We have, of course, the ticker tape parade up the Canyon of Heroes, and then we have that fabulous program at City Hall. That's where Mark Stevens and Diana Williams join us live.
Yeah, Roz, the fans are really getting revved up here. They're singing. They have been cheering. I've been talking to fans this morning, and one woman told me earlier that she has been a Yankee fan since before she was born. I also talked to some of the fans, and I said, who's your favorite player? Because everybody has a favorite. You get Derek Jeter, you get Andy Pettit. I guess I'm kind of partial to Bernie Williams, though.
Well, that's easy to do. I mean, we're getting a little bit of Yankee tradition right now, too. Robert Merrill is singing God Bless America for the fans here. Bernie Williams, you brought up a ball player that a lot of people didn't know about before his explosion onto the scene during the first season. And Bernie Williams has become a player that kind of typifies this team. He goes about his business and doesn't make a lot of noise about it. All these guys, they're not a team that's chock full of superstars, and I think that has a lot to do with it. Let's go back to the studio.
All right, Mark, thank you very much. And down at the other end of the parade route is Bill Evans. We're going to go in and join him live. Who do you have there, Bill?
Well, I got a little-known guy. It's Elton John. No, of course. It's our mayor. How are you?
I'm great. I'm terrific. I just came down the line of march from City Hall. You couldn't get another person there. I mean, this has to be the biggest and the best ever for I think, one of the great teams in the history of sports. A come-from-behind team, a team that wouldn't give up, a team that's a metaphor for a city that has people that just do much better under pressure than anything else.
You're absolutely right. I've seen you play softball. You played softball with us before. I know Yogi Berra is your favorite player.
You got it.
You grew up in Brooklyn and took a beating for it.
I grew up in Brooklyn wearing this Yankee outfit all over the place, and I took my licks for it. But now I get to give the key to the city to all the Yankee players. Here it is.
All right.
The key to New York City. Every single Yankee player is going to get that.
Super.
And I'm going to get to introduce one of my great all-time heroes, Joe DiMaggio, who's going to speak at City Hall. And all these great Yankee heroes, they're just terrific. I mean, and what terrific role models. They play as a team, no one great star, everybody pitches in, and every single player that gets this key can really feel they deserved it because they all contributed.
Absolutely. And I know Yogi Berra is your favorite player. You love number 8.
Yeah.
And this is just a great day for the city.
It's a great day for New York City.
I hope we can keep them in the Bronx. What's going to happen, do you think?
We're going to keep them. I have no doubt that we'll keep the Yankees. Where can you have a love affair like this between a city and a team? I think this Yankee team drew in more fans than maybe even in the past because they were underdogs. And they have a certain dignity and class about them that just attracts people.
Well, Mayor, we're happy for you. We're happy for all the citizens of New York.
I
And
am too.
enjoy
Great
the
day. The Yankees are back and New York City is back.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, Greg, Roz, back to you.
All right, Bill, thanks. And as the mayor well knows, good things come to those who wait.
I can't wait any
And it
longer.
certainly did.
Enough of the prep. Let's get to the parade. We're going to take a short break, but our live coverage of the Parade of Champions continues in just a moment.
One of the most exciting and exhilarating days New York will ever see. Few like it. A celebration of the world champions of baseball, the New York Yankees. This is the parade getting ready to start to head up the Canyon of Heroes up Broadway towards City Hall. Good morning. I'm Greg Hurst along with Roz Abrams. Scott Clark is here with us, and we also have a number of reporters out on the scene. In fact, we're going out to Doug Johnson, who's right in the middle of the throngs of people who are waiting for the celebration to begin. Doug?
Well, as I indicated earlier, this is one very, very excited crowd. I don't think I've ever seen a crowd quite up for anything the way they are here at the corner of Cortlandt and Broadway. As a matter of fact, this crowd is now backed up from the barricades there, about 100, 150 deep. And the police have done a wise thing, actually. They closed off the western end of Cortlandt Street, or I'm sure they'd be jammed up back for that very long block. If you take a look across the street, there's an enterprising group of kids who have climbed up on, I don't know what that is, perhaps a piece of sculpture that's in front of that building. One youngster actually climbed up there on his crutches. That's how he got up here. This is one very exciting group of people that we've got down here today.
The floats being used in this parade left Clifton, New Jersey about 5 a.m. this morning. Finishing touches on the floats not completed until very late into the night. The Bond Parade Float and Display Company is one of the largest companies in this business in the Northeast. It has built floats for just about every major parade in New York except the Thanksgiving Day Parade. But even though this may be old hat, this making of floats, making the Yankee floats, that was special.
Growing up as a Yankee fan, you know, you always wanted to be a Yankee player. Well, I never got a chance to be a Yankee player, but at least I could do something involved with the Yankees. Doing the parade is a nice thing.
Working from blueprints and drawings, the floats were made to the specifications of the parade committee. We got a preview of what kind of floats would be in this Yankee parade.
One with the spinning globe that's behind me. Another one with the ground screw, performing the YMCA and the Macarena. And they have another one just for the relief pitchers, which is going to be led by a fire truck and backed up by a fire truck.
So 7 floats in all is what we're going to have going past here. And as you heard, an interesting selection of personnel on those floats. The Macarena done by the ground crew, the relief pitchers backed front and back by fire trucks. And that's the 7 floats we're going to have made by that New Jersey company. Now, I must say that this crowd is very young and very excited, but so far we've seen absolutely no incidents here. They're behaving themselves fairly well. The police have come to the barricades a couple of times to warn a couple of youngsters that they were being perhaps a little too rambunctious. But excited, yes they are. And when the Yankees come past here in those floats, as they will very soon, you're just going to hear a roar in this Canyon of Heroes like we may never have heard in New York's history.
Sounds very, very, very good to me. The excitement is building in this studio. One of the floats that I cannot wait to see is the groundskeepers on doing the Macarena on the floats.
I think the village people are supposed to be out there too, doing the YMCA.
But they had to stop because they lost whenever they did it, so they didn't do it in the series. So come on back. We're looking for you. Sarah Wallace down in Battery Park. Sarah, are we close to beginning? Sarah?
Hi, Roz, Greg. I want to take you now where you might be able to see some of the floats moving into position here. The mayor on that one, that's also expected to be the float where Joe Torre will be standing. There are 7 floats altogether, bedecked in blue and white, and the crowd here is so incredibly enthusiastic. What will be happening is right from where I'm standing, the bands will be coming out. Some of the pom-pom girls, and you might be able to see behind me, this is the Joe Torre baseball team from Marine Park, Brooklyn. They will then be heading up the Canyon of Heroes, which is right here behind me. You might also be able to see some of the confetti already pouring down. It is an incredible sight here. The sun shining through the confetti that is already just raining down on the parade route. It is an exciting time, and you know, a whole lot of people here today seem to have gotten sick. There's a mass sickness that seems to be Yankee fever. Back to you guys.
Bill
Evans, I'm told that Bill Evans has an important guest with us. Bill?
Well, actually, what I wanted to give you a shot of is the float. We're right behind us. You can see Joe Torre and the mayor and the managers of the Yankees are on that float, and then behind that are player floats. And then around this side, on this side of the street, you can see that all the floats that are lining up for the parade on this side. The Rockettes are just down the street, and then there are other floats with all sorts of sponsors, and even like the big Model float. This is the famous jerseys that have been signed that will now go on to hang up atop of Yankee Stadium. That's where that jersey will reside, and of course they're giving money to Holy Trinity, Holy Nativity Church once they auction those up. So we're right here at the start of the parade. You can see the street sweepers through there. The press bus is already headed up the street. We're just moments away from the heroes to go right into the canyon and up Broadway. Roz, Greg, to you.
Bill, correct me if I'm wrong, but did I see an airborne ball and glove? Does that mean Macy's is in the house? There it is.
Absolutely
I love that.
Absolutely right.
And look, it's going to make the catch, it looks like.
I'm telling you.
It's like the catch that Paul O'Neill made. Descended on to what, Game 6, right?
Yes, sent on to the final game. Paul O'Neill made it there. Wrapped it up in Atlanta at Fulton County Stadium.
Yeah, absolutely.
When I heard him talking about the Macy's ball and glove on the radio this morning, I swear, the first thing I thought, I have overslept and it's Thanksgiving.
Well, we
They're
just may
talking
see that
Macy's,
again.
we're talking, you know, it's like, hello.
I'm sure it may be seen again on Thanksgiving Day.
And you know, they're not going far, but boy, they are going in style, aren't they?
They are.
Look at that.
Really
It's
are.
like some 16 blocks from the Battery on up to City Hall. And this is the first float. There you see the mayor. Did you notice the tie the mayor had on? We made a lot of hay with Joe Nolan's Yankee tie. But the mayor has on some kind of colorful Yankee tie there.
Different from the standard Yankee tie. I mean,
Absolutely.
This is his special.
It looks like one that he's been waiting to wear for a number of years.
It's so great about Joe Torre, too, because he's the first native New Yorker to be a manager of the New York Yankees. And Brooklyn-born, we've heard a lot of Brooklyn, but he's the first native New Yorker to manage the Yankees ever.
And as you well know, when he was appointed the Yankee skipper, there were a lot of moans and groans. Oh, Joe Torre's coming in here. He's a guy who hasn't won anything, but yet...
When you replace Buck Showalter, you're doing something, but he came in and just calmed the waters and just took it.
I want you guys to continue. I just want to make note of the fact that you're seeing the All-City High School Marching Band.
How big of a thrill must that be for them to be involved in something like this, to see that ticker tape, or in this case, that computer processing paper raining down from the heavens above. Look, in fact, it's almost covering the street. It looks like snow falling.
And it's a little more than computer processing paper. I could swear that long, right there, toilet paper.
I think,
Any paper,
I think you're right.
that will float. It's like, hello, I'm happy today.
It's quite a shower, isn't it? But getting back to Joe Torre, this has to be the culmination of a life's work for him. He spent so many years in the major leagues as a player, as a coach, and now he's come home and won it all.
How about 32 years of frustrations? He won a division with the Braves. Oddly enough, too, he played for the Mets, he played for the Braves, he played for the Cardinals, and then he managed all three teams. And he had a losing record as a manager, but then after 32 years of futility, he comes here to New York under tough conditions to replace Showalter, and he just won it all. I mean, he just took everybody, all these veterans, young people, everybody, provided the chemistry. They talk about chemistry. Chemistry is created when you win. You have bad chemistry when you lose. Joe Torre just kept them on an even keel through the good and the bad.
And you could tell, you could see at those news conferences how calm he was, and he never seemed to panic.
I remember before, I think it was Game 5 down in Atlanta, everybody's pretty excited. No, I think, you know what, it was Game 4, a very crucial game. And Joe Torre was out doing a little talk show thing before the game. I mean, everybody else is just wandering around, just talking to each other. And there's a lot of tense moments before that game. You know, the batting practice going on, the players trying to get focused. Joe Torre was just so calm, did some things, talked to some people, and then left.
Daddy, trivia question for you. November 2nd, 1995. Why is that a very important day for the Yankees?
You have a beautiful answer, I imagine.
Joe
I am
Torre.
stumped, ma'am.
Hey, we're talking Torre. Joe Torre was named the Yankees' 31st manager. He replaced Buck Showalter. So November 2nd, a great day.
Roz is doing her homework.
1995.
Well, you know, and one of the guys that is on that float with Joe Torre came in with some of the same kind of concerns because he was replacing a popular general manager in Stig Michael, and Bob Watson came in, and there was some concern, well, could he get the job done? And now he's in the middle of the celebration, but in the middle of controversy as well.
There's always concern when your boss is George Steinbrenner and you're the general manager of the New York Yankees. And, you know, the latest word is that, you know, Steinbrenner says, I'm keeping Bob Watson, he's going to be general manager. We're going to have to find out if Bob Watson wants to stay as a general manager, because I understand that he is not very happy with the way he's been treated and the way he's been publicly given some really abuse by George Steinbrenner about the trade with Graham Lloyd, which turned out to be just an ace trade in the end. And
I don't think anyone's wanting to reverse that trade now.
Nobody wants to reverse that trade. You know, they lost a couple of good people. Gerald Williams was a great prospect that they lost, and they lost Bob Wickman. He wasn't doing well at all. But Bob Watson supervised a lot of trades this year, a lot of acquisitions this year, and he deserves a lot of the credit, and Joe Torre is one of the first to give it to him.
If you're just joining us, we want everybody to know you're looking at a live picture of what we hope is the beginning of the Parade of Champions down the Canyon of Heroes. Bill Evans is in Battery Park. Everybody to know you're looking at a live picture of what we hope is the beginning of the Parade of Champions down the Canyon of Heroes. Bill Evans is in Battery Park. Bill.
You're looking at the next float coming through. That's Jimmy Lehretz, David Cohn on this next float right here. And the lineup of players is right down the street, and they'll keep coming in right in through the area. Jimmy Key is on that float as well, and you can see Jimmy Lehretz has had a palm recorder, and he's actually been taking video of all the fans. So they're having a lot of fun, as well as enjoying themselves with this parade. Ross, Greg?
All right, Bill, you're a little bit ahead of us. We're seeing pictures now of the mayor on this float, and the car that was right in front of him, that was Gene Buddy. He's the American League Baseball president. We're now watching, of course, Mayor Giuliani holding up the #1 for his New York Yankees. And then just behind there will be the pitchers that you mentioned.
I could watch that ball turn all day, all night. 1996 World Champion New York Yankees.
They already lost an eye right there.
That's all right. That's all right.
You know, they must make some quick work, though, putting those floats together. And they don't have a whole lot of time with all those designs, but they must be planning on it. But I wouldn't think they would have had that much time.
Well, and what a labor of love for these guys. These are people who build floats for people in parades all across the country. But these are huge, huge Yankee fans over there in Clifton, New Jersey. And so they had a little extra incentive to get these floats out on time. And what a terrific job they did.
But in answer to your question, staff of 20. They had to wait until the Yankees won.
Now, here's a Yankee hero from days gone by. Joe DiMaggio there on the left, Governor Pataki on the right.
Joe DiMaggio always shows, too, on opening day. He always comes in. He always shows up. He always throws that first ball out, as he did at the World Series as well. And the Yankee Clipper, nobody is loved more than that man right there as a New York Yankee.
He is quite a legend, and of course he knows this feeling, what it's like. You have to feel, though, for some of these guys who missed out on this opportunity, like one Don Mattingly, who was there last year for all of the celebration, and then he missed out on today's celebration.
He had a bad timing. I mean, he finally got to the playoffs last year, at the first time in his 13-year career. He got in just after the Yankees had won in 77, 78, and gone to the World Series in 81. And then they had that drought, and then he got to the playoffs, but never got to the World Series.
Well, maybe he can have a little solace in just seeing that they finally got there. We're going now to Sarah Wallace, who's at the beginning of the parade route. Sarah, what's happening there?
Well, actually, what's happening here is the floats are moving into place right now. The next float's moving into line. You guys may not be able to see it, but the float, it's got Dwight Gooden, Jimmy Key. It's got Andy Pettit on it. All the players are on various different floats here, the 7 different floats, although John Wetland, because he's the MVP, gets his very own float. That'll be coming down a little later. Again, I'm going to take you up the Canyon of Heroes. You can see the confetti now. It is just raining down incredibly. What a sight. It is an amazing time here. The fans came out early this morning. They started lining up. Some were here about 5 o'clock just to get a place, just to get a bird's eye view. There are about 10 different high school marching bands from all over the tri-state area. There are pom-pom girls. There's the Joe Torre Little League team from Marine Park, Brooklyn. It is an incredible time, a beautiful day. New York is doing themselves proud. Back to you guys.
Well, you know, they won the World Series. That had to be a tremendous, exhilarating experience. But to do this, these are these jerseys that have been placed out all across the city. I believe they had 6 or 7 of these. More than 100,000 people put their signatures on these jerseys in support of the New York Yankees. One of them was hanging across the Queens Midtown Tunnel, and now they're parading up the Canyon of Heroes.
Looks like the Rockettes to me. They were practicing last night, getting their legs in shape so that they could, you know, high step for the champions. They'll be performing, I understand, at City Hall, and right now they're just waving to the crowd and looking good.
This looks like a dress rehearsal for the Thanksgiving Day Parade, doesn't it?
Right.
And they're doing a very good job of it.
And of course, at Radio City, they also have their big Christmas spectacular. It looks like the Rockettes are ready for that as well. Look at that confetti coming down.
You know, just for a little news, we were talking about John Wetland, the MVP of the World Series. There had been talk about Wetland that he wasn't happy during this season, and then he came out yesterday and said, I want to return as a New York Yankee, and it is my understanding from the sources we've talked with the Yankees that they are going to pursue John Wetland to keep him here with the Yankees, and they plan to re-up Strawberry and Gooden, Doc Gooden and Daryl Strawberry. They plan to exercise their options and keep them in pinstripes.
Well, in the case of John Wetland, he has to be, I would guess, if not the hottest closer in all of baseball, certainly one of the top 5 over the past few years.
He is the highest paid, and he had 43 saves, and Todd Worrell had 44, but he made $4 million, Wetland made $4 million, and they deserve it.
And comes back for 4.6, right, if he accepts?
Yeah.
Gentlemen, can I interrupt for just a moment? Lara Spencer, the parade is getting ready to move by you.
And there's your glove and your ball.
In there. Tell us what's happening.
Oh, Rob, Greg, it is just awesome. You can see behind me the big Macy's float is here. It is wonderful. Take a look over there. The roar of the crowds is deafening. The sky is littered with confetti, as is the ground. The ground crews have their work cut out for them. The top of the parade is here at Cedar and Broadway. The crowds are going nuts. Many of these people have been here since 4 a.m., 5 a.m. when we got here. This is what they've been waiting for. The first car carrying the Yankees is back about 3 blocks, making its way slowly to this point. It doesn't matter what they're seeing. The crowds love the Yankees. They are proud to be here and just proud to be part of this very special day in New York. I've been a New Yorker all my life. I have never seen anything like this. Back to you guys in the studio. Actually, just take a look.
Lara, the volume seemed to increase while you were talking. Is someone coming by? Is there a special float that's just behind you?
You know, Greg, there's nothing coming behind me. It's just the fans are getting more and more excited since I've been here. In the beginning, I could hear you clearly. Now I catch a word here and there, and I'm just kind of winging it. It is wonderful, though.
All right, Lara, there are certain shots where it looks like Lara.
That's all they need to do. That's all they need to see.
Lara, there are certain shots where the confetti looks, you know, 10 feet deep. Is it coming down on you heavy now?
It is coming down on the ground. It's about 3 feet deep. It's in my hair. We've had a couple of episodes of toilet paper, but for the most part, fans are being wonderful. You know, it's raining. It is a blizzard of white above us. And here's the high school band performing. Things are going to heat up a little bit. I am now looking at the first car with players about a block back, and by them, the sky is just littered with confetti. You can hear the fans go up and they go down. It's just awesome.
Is there any greater tribute in the world than a ticker tape parade in New York City? I mean, really.
Well, just think who's been honored with these ticker tape parades. Of course, the Gulf War heroes just a few years ago. Nelson Mandela, who came into town. The New York Rangers have come to mind most recently. But yes, definitely always an extremely high honor. And just think about other world champions. The world champion Chicago Bulls, they did not get any type of parade like this, and certainly the world champion Braves last year did not see anything like this type of celebration.
Well, that's because Atlanta doesn't have a canyon of heroes.
That's exactly right.
You know,
New York is unique to itself.
I was going to ask Lara, because it looks, you know, we can't have ticker tape anymore because of the computers. There isn't ticker tape, but I was just going to ask her what source is most of that so-called ticker tape right now. Lara, can you still hear us?
Sure can, guys.
What is the source of most of that so-called ticker tape? Is it all toilet paper, or is it...
No, I think people just are throwing anything they can get their hands on. People's homework, of course, a lot of computer printout paper. You're looking at the first trucks go by, and they are just throwing whatever they can get their hands on. Look in the sky. Toilet paper is just suspended in midair. We also saw a computer printout from Dreyfus, which is down the block. It is now stuck in one of the TV truck's apparatus.
Well, they were delivering this paper by the payloader earlier. And in fact, they had a shredder that was coming by. It would shred some of this paper. And then they would use that. They stuffed it all last night into plastic bags, delivered these along the buildings along the route, and now you can see the result.
That looks like Joe Torre's Little League team right there.
It is. Are they the cutest you've ever seen?
Well,
I
plus,
mean,
what an honor would that be to see a team coming with your name on their jackets?
Marine Park, Brooklyn, New York. There it is.
You're a legend in your own time.
plus who knows? There could be a little Joe Torre in there right now.
They will certainly be proud to wear those jerseys for many days and years to come if they'll still fit into them. So you know they'll save them.
Just in case
and there's your baseball and glove, right?
You know, I tell you, I do love that. Just in case you're just joining us, you are watching live coverage of the Parade of Champions. I'm Roz Abrams with Scott Clark and Greg Hurst. You've got it tuned to Channel 7.
And
this
look at the
is
Canyon of
exciting.
Heroes.
They were talking, what, 2 to 3 million people on the estimation, and they may get the higher end of it from what our reporters were saying on the streets, that there was even more than what they expected.
Well, and plus, from these pictures, there's no reason to doubt. I mean, there are plenty of people that are packed in there. And from all accounts, quite orderly.
That's Bob Watson there with the sunglasses and the 2 fists up. That's Bob Watson, the general manager of the Yankees. And Joe Torre to the right side of the screen. Oh, he just went out. But you'll see there's Joe. Thumbs up. Joe Torre just going by in the float. Lara?
Yeah, behind me you can see Joe Torre and with Mayor Giuliani that is going past. That should be down by Doug Johnson in just a couple of moments. Fans went nuts. The sky rained confetti all over that truck. Now coming by, we should start to see some of the players making their way. They're about half a block behind me. I can see George Steinbrenner loud and clear. He's getting loud applause. Up and here behind me is a car carrying.
That's Kenny
There
Rogers.
is the man, Joe DiMaggio,
Looks like Kenny Rogers
with the governor right behind. Can you see this? Yeah, we can see it.
I think what we're seeing is the
It's
second
great.
Yankee
Joe
float, which includes the starting pitchers and the rotation. To give you an idea where we are in this parade, the float carrying the mayor and Joe Torre and Bob Watson and the rest of the coaches and so forth, that's the first float in the parade. There are about 6 more to follow that will have. There you see George Steinbrenner on this big bus. That's the double-decker bus. He's got his friends on there, coaches' wives, and players' wives, family, staff. Quite a celebration for George. It's been 18 years since he's seen this.
George Steinbrenner, a poignant moment when Doc Gooden passed him in the clubhouse after they had wrapped it up. He looked at him and tears just welled in his eyes when he looked at Doc Gooden, because he was basically, he along with Daryl were products, you know, of George Steinbrenner. He takes great pride in being able to see one of these people like Steve Howe when he came in. He just takes great pride in it, and there were tears in his eyes.
And you know, George gets a lot of criticism. A lot of it is deserved, some of it isn't. But he also should get a lot of credit for this team because he's one of the biggest architects of bringing these players in.
You just don't know what to expect when you get George Steinbrenner. I mean, he can be the best and he can be the worst.
You're exactly right. All right, we're going out to Doug Johnson now, who's along the parade route around Cortlandt Street. How's it look there, Doug?
This is such a New York team. It's Wall Street. It's the Canyon of Heroes. It's the ticker tape parade. It's the New York Yankees. The Yankees won. It's the Bronx. It's Joe Torre and his brothers who grew up in Brooklyn. It's all these people down here thrilled that this team won. A team that took them through ups and downs, and here they are out in front of them in these floats that are going by here. Mayor Giuliani so proud to be up there. Joe Torre, perhaps one of the greatest days of his life. We can hardly hear ourselves talk here. This crowd has gone absolutely bananas. Arms waving in the air, ticker tape pouring down, tears coming from everywhere. Because the New York Yankees are a hero of this town, and they're out in front of them right now in this parade. It's absolutely magnificent for all the people who be here, and for this team a win of such proportions, it's just an extraordinary scene here.
At this moment.
Yeah, you know, Scott, you were talking about Wade Boggs and Tim Raines. I know you had an interview with Tim Raines the night that they clinched the series, and he was talking about what a big moment it was for him and how few players actually get to enjoy this like his great friend Andre Dawson.
And he thought about Andre Dawson. He said he's going to just love this moment and cherish it, but he thought first of Andre Dawson, who went so many years and never tasted this. This is just a special deal if you can get there. And the Braves are ruining that point right now. I mean, you think about this domination, the team of the 90s, and they're talking about a team of destiny, maybe one of the best ever, certainly one of the best pitching staffs, but the Braves have won one World Championship. That's something
in
to
the
say.
90s. And so now have the New York Yankees.
Now the Yankees.
You know, they talk about dynasty teams, and dynasty team, the Braves, I don't know. A great team, probably yes. A team of destiny, that's probably the New York Yankees. We'll see if they can maybe come back and do it again next year.
Lara Spencer. She is where the action is. Lara, come in.
Roz, it is great down here. I am here with Laura Jones, who admits she is playing hooky. Where are you supposed to be today?
I'm supposed to be at work at Middle Hill Elementary School, but thanks to my boss, he let me have the day off. Thank you, Mr. Cooper.
She is one of about 3 million people who are playing hooky. Of course, we are not, but everyone else is here. Many have said they should be calling this a national holiday, and there is why. Right behind me, the boys in blue, the New York Yankees.
And you see right there on the right of your screen, look, Paul O'Neill trying to record this for posterity. You know,
he knows he probably won't get a chance to see this too many times, so he's putting this on video himself.
He tasted it with the Cincinnati Reds, but he said this was just awesome when he looked up at the crowd after winning it as a Yankee. And Bernie Williams, you see, was carrying the Puerto Rican flag. Bernie Williams hailing from Puerto Rico and very proud of it, and what a special moment for all of them.
The village
people.
There they are. Supposedly they're going to be singing the YMCA, their theme song, at the big celebration at City Hall.
I think that is Kenny Rogers there on top of We Are the Champions. Boy, what a tough year. The $20 million man, and he had so many problems, but it doesn't look like he's having any problems today, does it?
No, he's certainly part of the celebration as well. You know, there's so many of these individual stories. You talk about Kenny Rogers coming over from the Rangers.
There's Doc.
You have Doc right there. And Doc is one of the biggest stories of all. And probably the best story for Doc Gooden is not only did he come back to pitch again, but he seems, let's keep our fingers crossed, to have conquered this abuse problem, this substance abuse problem.
He's dealing with it one day at a time, and that's how recovering addicts do deal with it. And boy, what a great addendum to the movie script that Doc Gooden is having right now. Even though he didn't play in the World Series, I mean, to be writing that ticker tape, and he was such a big part of this club when they needed him, and he had that big streak in June. It didn't look like he was going to be a member of this club, and then Coney went down, and Doc Gooden stepped in, and really, when Doc Gooden then went back down, Cone stepped in. It was like these former Mets were just doing the job.
It's that teamwork the whole time, and of course, how improbable was it that this man, who had had his ups and downs, had gone through the substance abuse, comes back and pitches a no-hitter in the middle of the season.
It's one where you don't write the script. You just see it and say, who did write this? I mean, you really can't write it any better, and you wouldn't think that it was true, but it is.
Truth is always stranger
David
than
Cone
fiction.
raising his fist there on the front. Where would this team have been without those guys?
David Cone, there was some question whether he would even be a part of the World Series team because of that aneurysm in his pitching shoulder.
And he comes back, the first time he comes back, he no-hits a team for 7 innings. He said when it happened, he said as soon as it happened, he said, I'm coming back, I'll be back. And no one really could take it for granted that he would be back, and everyone doubted it but David Cone. And he came back and just, there's George Steinbrenner having a lot of fun. This is a day he waits for.
Well, Coney certainly has been one of the most productive pitchers in all of baseball over the last few years, and to come back from this, very improbable, but you just couldn't doubt him. The bulldog that he really is, as he proved in Game 5.
And he is a New Yorker. George Steinbrenner, he almost went to Baltimore, and George Steinbrenner personally got involved in the negotiations and said, I want David Cone here with the Yankees, and he got him there.
And I'm glad.
And just see how important that was, because that was the difference in this series, this pitching staff between the Baltimore Orioles and the New York Yankees.
Scott, before you answer, we've got Bertha Coombs. Bertha, I'm not exactly sure where you are. I'm sure you'll tell us, and what's happening at this moment.
Ross, I'm standing at Broadway and BZ Street with about 3 million of my closest Yankee-loving friends. Right now, the Modell's big T-shirts are going by, and I gotta tell you, I was surprised too. When George Steinbrenner came back, it was a love fest. People would not have thought that would have happened 10 years ago, but boy, it is. Look at this, what's going on here. When you look at that paper down, it's kind of interesting. They began the season this year on opening day being blanketed by snow before a big crowd of 56,000 in Yankee Stadium. It was unusual. We had to know then it was going to be a special year. They are ending it as champions, being showered with love and paper of every sort. We have seen rolls of paper, towel rolls of bathroom tissue, torn up paper. People are just going crazy here. But definitely a love fest. The crowd in a great mood, a once-in-a-lifetime type of event, unless miracle of all miracles, they can repeat it next year. But for now, I think people are just enjoying this right now. You see Cecil Cooper there waving to the crowd. This is a great time.
Yeah, Cecil Fielder's certainly enjoying it, has his big cigar out, and how improbable was this with the Detroit Tigers earlier in the season, and then comes over and wins a world championship.
He's in last place in August, okay? He's with the worst team in baseball, and then all of a sudden, he's with a team that's going for a championship, and then he played an integral part. I mean, when he first came, I think he had too much pressure, and he felt he had too much pressure to be a leader in the clubhouse and on the field and hit home runs. And then he settled down, and he fit in, and he became a leader by example. And there's Andy Pettitte waving there.
Joe Girardi, his battery mate.
Yeah. Andy Pettitte was something, huh? I mean, in game one, he was just so disappointed with himself because he put so much pressure on himself for a 24-year-old guy. I mean, he's in his second year in the majors, and he's going to win the Cy Young, hands down. You just have to believe that for the American League. And then he comes back and just pitches just a whale of a game the second time around, and really kept the Yankees on their run.
There was no sophomore jinx there.
No.
And, you know, you talk about Cecil Fielder. I know that John Wetland won the Most Valuable Player award, but an argument could have been made for Cecil Fielder. He was the one who kept the bats going and kept driving in runs and getting base hits throughout this entire World Series.
Cecil hit .391 for the World Series. I mean, and he kept knocking in runs in the playoffs and the divisional series, and he was just a clutch hitter, and they wanted him to hit home runs, and he said, look, against these Braves, against this kind of pitching, I have to go with the pitch, and I'm going to do what it takes to beat them. He didn't hit the home runs until he had the ball to hit the home run, but otherwise he just went with the pitch, or he'd rope it down the left field line like he did in that 1-0 victory.
That says it all. New York Yankees, 1996 World Champions.
A love fest, a movable love fest.
Now, is this the guy that was standing in the front of the line? That's the #1 fan, Pee Wee. Remember this guy?
Is that
it's
Pee Wee?
not.
That's not Pee Wee.
Oh, he looks just like the guy. You remember who we're talking about, though? The guy who stood on line for like 2 days, and George Steinbrenner came out and gave him, I don't know, front row seats.
Oh, he got the VIP treatment.
Yeah,
he
right.
got everything. He got the shirt and the cap and the notebooks, and
He
he got
earned it.
He's the one who was beating on the pan, isn't that right?
He got everything, oh, Petey, and he had an audience with the owner.
Yes. Another marching band.
Bands have played mightily in Yankees history. John Philip Sousa opened Yankee Stadium with a 2-hour musical concert before one ball was ever pitched, and the bands are out today striking it up.
I did not know that, Rod.
Listen, if you sit here long enough, you shall learn, my child.
Well, this seems apropos. I think George Steinbrenner was born on July 4th, so he's a man of celebration, so he's certainly enjoying this as well.
Lara Spencer, what you got for us?
Hey guys, down here at Cedar and Broadway, you can see we've got a little musical entertainment. Matthew Broderick just went by. I'm not really sure why, but he got a rousing round of applause. And as Bertha said before, what a love fest. That's really what this is. And let it rain, let it rain, let it rain. Anything you can find, people are throwing. I don't know if you can see up above at that building. That gives you an idea of the kind of stuff that's coming down. Just tons of confetti and shredded paper from offices around. Lots of people in windows. Not a lot of work going on today, I would imagine. And who can blame them? The Yanks won the World Series. About a block down, we've got another carload. I think some more players, about 2 cars back. They'll be coming up the block, I'd say, within about 3 or 4 minutes. In the meantime, the marching band is doing a nice job keeping people busy. Yeah, little applause going on here. Not a bad thing. Up ahead, you saw, of course, David Cohn. We're waiting for the MVP. Mr. Wetland, he's back there. We're looking forward to that. And things are calm, very calm. Police say they are pleasantly surprised. 2,000 police officers on hand. Of course, they do have some vehicles here if things should get a little rowdy, but so far so good. Fans are excited, but not too excited. Let's go 2 blocks to Doug. What's going on up there, Douglas?
Well, down here at Cortland and Broadway, this crowd it's just a sustained roar with the occasional high. A moment ago when the players came by here, David Cohen got so carried away he started doing a little dance as he went past our location. I can't imagine any work is being done in the financial district today. It would seem that there are people hanging out of just about every window. throwing confetti or shredded paper down on this crowd. Watching this crowd is quite interesting. It's just a high and a low. It's as though they were watching a game where the bases are loaded and the pitcher's trying to get the last out, because they just rise and fall with depending on who is going fastest at the present moment. And right now, in fact, they got a huge cheer just a moment for the city council. That gives you an indication what is going on down here today.
Well, there
it's
you
a
see Daryl
wonderful day for
Strawberry
New York.
with the baseball on his sweatshirt there. He's the one holding his hand in the air.
Those are trainers in front of him, too. And Daryl he really could have used and did use those trainers when he had that broken toe. I mean, you talk about a man who played in pain. Daryl Strawberry had a broken toe, and he had to sit out one game. But then he said, look, this is the World Series. He didn't sit out on his own. Joe Torre had him sit, and he just couldn't go. But he got ready and said, this is the World Series. I'm going to play. And what a great contribution Strawberry had this year.
You know, Strawberry, I guess, is the only member of this team who's actually seen this before, correct? Back with the 86 Mets.
He has seen it. Doc Gooden has seen it.
Although he missed the parade.
He did miss the parade, yes.
Live coverage of the Parade of Champions right here on Channel 7. Roz Abrams, Greg Hurst, Scott Clark, and a whole host of reporters lucky enough to be in that seat of humanity.
You know, you have the celebration here, and the Rangers did celebrate in '95, and it had been a long, long wait for them. And you just see this city in celebration, and you really are proud as a New Yorker, because when you look at other titles, cities where they have titles, in Chicago, they had a lot of looting. In Montreal, when they won the Stanley Cup, looting, a lot of violence, cars overturned. In New York City, when the Rangers won, in New York City, when the Yankees have won, there has been very little violence. There has been spotty violence. I think 7 people in all at Yankee Stadium, when they wrapped it up, were arrested for trespassing. And
I would say for a police commissioner,
pretty good
we're
mark.
a class act, Scotty. You know, come on now.
And the cops were great, too. They were one of the last to leave. His Honor was one of the last to leave Yankee Stadium, too. He and Andrew were out in the field just running around, just taking it all in after they had wrapped it up on Saturday night. There's Bernie Williams making his way. Daryl Strawberry, as you see, with his boy there. I mean, what a great, great family affair this is today, huh?
You know, you talk about some of the kids. Just think how spoiled they are. And they don't even realize it. They've seen 2 World Championship teams here, one with the Yankees, one with the Rangers. It took, what, almost 50 years for the New York Rangers to do it again? It took 18 years between championships for the Yankees. And who knows, with a little bit of luck, maybe we can do the same thing for the Knicks next year.
Maybe. They run in cycles like that, you know.
This is our time in life.
Lara Spencer.
Come in, Lara. We know you're out there somewhere.
Behind me, you guys are looking at Daryl Strawberry. The chanting is unbelievable. Daryl! You can't miss it. Bernie Williams also on that truck. Tim Raines, Paul O'Neill. These are some of the clutch players, and the crowd is letting them know they appreciate everything they've done for them.
You know,
just listen. Just didn't cut it. Also, you see his son is doing the chop, too. Apparently, he taught him a little lesson.
Yeah, the
All
chop
the
is
players getting
gone.
a rousing round of applause here.
Daryl is such a presence.
Lots of confetti.
That's his right there.
Tim Raines, Paul O'Neill, Bernie Williams, a big favorite here at Cedar and Broadway. This is what they've been waiting for, a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. Unbelievable.
You know, Lara,
Greg?
Lara was talking about, thanks, Lara, talking about Daryl and the chance for Daryl. He gets that in the Canyon of Heroes. He gets that at Yankee Stadium. He gets that at Atlanta Fulton County Stadium by the opposition fans. He gets that everywhere he goes, whether it's adulation or they're just trying to get after him. He gets that called Daryl, and it started back when Boston, the World Series, and it just continued on. But he is such a presence. Whether you're for him or whether you're against him, when he stands up at the plate and he faces the pitcher, he is the ultimate presence of power at the plate, and that's what he commands.
He certainly has that charisma.
May I ask you a question, Scotty?
Yes.
Is that unusual? You talk about a presence. Are a lot of ball players like that, or is he unusual in that he has that presence?
He is unusual. There are a few. There is Mark McGuire. There is Cecil Fielder. There is Daryl Strawberry. But You know, they all command presence and power, but there's something about Strawberry that just, it's his physique, it is huge, it is slim, it is long, it is muscular. He is just a presence where a pitcher, and not only a pitcher but fans, just look at him and are in awe of him, really.
Well, and he's certainly not the hitter that he was a couple of years ago, but you're exactly right about that presence. Every time he steps to the plate, every pitcher respects him, and you have the feeling, is this going to be the time he's going to hit one out of the ballpark, and will it leave fast? And usually it does.
There are relievers right there we were looking at with the shades with David Weathers, and you saw Jeff Nelson. There they are. There are the relievers, and but see Jeff Nelson with the baby right there. You know, when he was in Baltimore, he's from Maryland, and he was a big Orioles fan growing up, and he had a pickup game in college with Cal Ripken Jr., and it was like he was playing with his idol. You know, he just loved the Orioles, and now he's a Yankee, and they just beat those Orioles up.
Quite a celebration. We have reporters all along the parade route, but we also have a reporter who's actually in the parade. This is Lee Goldberg. Come in, Lee.
How are you?
We're doing good. What's it like to be in the middle of all of this adulation and celebration?
It's so unbelievable. I mean, I'm being showered right now by all the confetti papers. We've seen actually a couple computer decks come down here off the windows, but I'm actually on the relief pitcher's float, which many people would say not only John Wetland, the MVP, but the entire float. These guys, of course, getting the Yankees past that critical sixth inning all the time and take it home. It is unbelievable coming down here. Millions of people just in love with this team. We're now moving right down the street, and they're just all cheering for Mariano Rivera is on this, with David Weathers, of course, the MVP, John Wetland, and Graham Lloyd. So it's just, it's indescribable. It's just a festive occasion, and everybody's just nuts out here. Pandemonium.
Well, maybe we'll get a chance to talk to one of those relievers before the day is over. But talk for a minute, Scott, about Mariano Rivera. He's a guy who certainly could have been considered for most valuable player honors as well.
Some believe that he was the most valuable player on the Yankees this year because he just came in. It was basically, if you got to the relief with the Yankees and you were playing them, you were done for the most part. I mean, they did not lose leads. They lost one lead after the 8th inning, I think, all year long. When you got to Mariano Rivera and then you got to Wetland to finish it up, it was over. This was the difference. The relief pitchers were really the difference, and Joe Torre will tell you the pitching itself, but the relief pitchers in particular really came up. I mean, I remember when they had Steve Howe at the beginning of the year, and they needed some left-handers, they needed some help, and they really searched for a while, but that's where the acquisitions came in, and Graham Lloyd helped. However bad it was, when he first came over from Milwaukee, it turned into aces. He didn't allow a run in the postseason. He came on, he faced one batter, he faced two batters, and that would be it, but he did his job against the left-handed batters. They all have their stories. David Weathers, when he came back in Texas when Kenny Rogers failed, he came on with 2 on, and he got Juan Gonzalez to a double play. He was unbelievable. There's Bernie Williams waving in the back there.
They were stoppers in the truest sense. They really were.
All of them were. The relief pitching, they were the relief of the Yankees. They just carried it on.
You know, Rivera has kind of that same presence from a pitcher's standpoint as Daryl does. He was just intimidating on the mound, just that motion that's as smooth as silk. Some throw harder, but he always had the location and was always intimidating hitters.
And that was the deception, because he threw so smoothly and it came so fast. It would just get the hitters. They couldn't hit the guy. He had great stuff.
I got to throw to Bertha, but I want everybody at home to make note of the grounds crew. They're going to be performing, I guess, YMCA. I have been waiting for this float, and I'm sorry we didn't get a longer shot of it, but as they approach City Hall, we'll get them again. Bertha Coombs, there they are, my
and they're rocking the house.
Hello. Bertha Coombs, what have you got for us?
Well, Ross, I am standing here. You're not going to see her. We're going to show you shots of the parade, but I'm standing here with a woman who remembers standing here in the corner of Broadway and Vesey Street back when Babe Ruth was on the Yankees game. Mrs. Kubas, tell me what it's like being here today after...
The greatest. For such a long time I've been waiting for this. I'm 73 and I'm enjoying every bit of it. Once again, I get to see champs in New York City.
You remember being here when Babe Ruth was here. Does this compare?
No, this is way more. They were great. I was happy to see Joe, because I remember him from many different ones. But when I saw this is something else. This is something I will die tomorrow, and I'm happy to have been here today.
A true Yankee fan, diehard Yankee fan. I think a lot of folks feeling that here today. A lot of people even become overcome with emotion. We saw a few people kind of get a little overwrought in the crowd. There are a lot of people out here, and right now they've actually sort of settled down a little bit. Everybody trying to hold on to their spot so they can see their favorite players as they go by. Amazingly, to be in a crowd of some 3 million people and to feel pretty safe. And that's a big thing to say about New York. You can't say that about a lot of cities.
Bertha, she says she's 73, and this is more. We understand what she means. It is definitely more. More love, more of an outpouring, more caring. More people watch this game, probably, you know.
You know, she said she was around when Babe Ruth was here.
Yeah.
And one thing that makes it, I guess, even more sweet than back in those days, because in the days of Ruth and Gehrig and Mantle, there were championships almost every year. It seemed like they came along so many times, and this has been 18 years. It does make this one seem so much sweeter.
There were championships in the 20s, in the 30s, in the 40s, in the 50s, in the 60s, in the 70s, every decade. In the, in the 90s now, there you got a champion again.
But you know, guys, and I just have to say this again, one of the things I love about this town and its people, we get emotional. We're not afraid to say how much we love things like this, how important these parades are, how proud we are of our teams. I've lived and worked in a lot of cities. Not everybody can make my heart pound like those fans out there, and that makes them very special.
Well, you know, New York loves a winner, and New York tells it like it is. And I think that's why when George Steinbrenner came by on his float, the cheers went up. They're going to boo him when he's wrong, and they're going to cheer him when he's right. And he was right on this one.
Some, well, many people who don't live in New York City, well, I saw and read about one Atlanta sports columnist who described the Bronx as a festering boil. They just haven't lived here. They have to live here to experience what New York is.
Well, it boiled over on the Atlanta Braves.
Certainly did.
All right, we're going out to Doug Johnson along the parade route. You still out there, Doug, at Cortlandt Street?
We're still out here, and we're absolutely loving it.
Look, everybody came out for the parade, even the long python.
Is that a real snake?
Extraordinary experience that we're having out here today.
Doug, do you see the snake?
As you said that
He doesn't.
when Daryl came by, that Daryl shout never sounded sweeter in his ears. Right now, the New York Correction Department getting a big cheer. The interesting thing, if we can take a look up here for just a moment as these floats approaches, are these people up in these windows out here. Some of them seem to be taking a bit of a chance actually hanging out the windows. But they're catching a glimpse now of these floats as they're coming past us with these great heroes, and great heroes they are, winning this series the way they did, giving us heart attacks on a few occasions, but they're the grand winners, the New York Yankees, parading down the Canyon of Champions today.
You're exactly right, Doug. They always made it interesting. John Wetland would come in, and you never know what was going to happen.
They do the charge here. See that they're doing the tomahawk right now. That's Derek Jeter on the right in the front. In the middle is Charlie Hayes, and on the left is Cecil Fielder. They are now doing the tomahawk chop.
Let me tell you, I lived in Atlanta for 11 years, and I think they just had a hard time dealing with the fact that we beat them so badly. So badly. They're really nice people.
Well, and they were considered the best in baseball. Certainly the best in the National League.
They didn't ask
Well,
me.
that's true. But if you're going to win, it's best to beat the best. And that's certainly what the New York Yankees did.
They beat the best. I mean, they were the underdogs coming into this thing. Time, man of the year, Joe Torre.
Yeah. You saw Derek Jeter there. It's interesting that in this one game, playing and winning the World Series, he's going to make more money from the player's share of the jackpot than he made all season long. Around $41,000. That's the largest payoff in World Series history.
Well, he's a rookie. What do you expect? They got to pay their dues. You know?
Exactly right.
They're only going to make 200 grand this year.
Well, and he was a guy that there were some question marks about him as well, and look how he came through. He'll probably be Rookie of the Year, right?
I asked him after, I think it was Game 5, I asked him about a couple of blunders he had shortstop. One he got the guy out, and the other he did not. And I said, were you just being a rookie out there, you know, the little nerves? And he said, nah, it's a bad infield out there. He said, you saw Rafael Belliard do that. He's a veteran. He does the same thing. He's so confident he is. As we see a great float there with O'Neill and Strawberry, a star-crossed bunch right there.
Well, and it was a great mix of players. You had these rookies and you had the veterans, and look at how well they got along, and they encouraged each other along the way. And they played like a team and certainly ended up winning like a team.
Well, think about Charlie Hayes, as we saw in the middle there. I mean, Charlie Hayes comes over from Pittsburgh, it was an unpopular move because Wade Boggs was set at third base. Wade Boggs was having some problems with his back, and the Yankees went ahead and pulled the trigger. You have to credit Bob Watson and Joe Torre for getting together and doing this. And Charlie Hayes came over and just did a whale of a job and stepped in there even against right-handers against the Braves. When Wade Boggs would sit, and he came in, and Boggs had some complaints, but he sat and let it happen and said, let's do this as a team. And that's what they kept doing. They just kept doing it as a team and no individualism.
And what a gutsy... Wait a minute. How can you guys not mention that snake? I know baseball has been very, very...
Once,
yeah, but who is it? What's it doing there? You talk about people hanging out of the windows. Holding that snake is far more dangerous to my way of thinking.
But you know, even all the people around, they don't even seem to be paying much attention to it. They're focused more on the celebration out there in the streets, which gives you some idea what's going on out there. We're going to Lara Spencer, who's down in Lower Manhattan at Cedar Street. Lara?
Well, guys, behind me you can see this is just not a single player on there, but still the crowd is cheering them too. That's the kind of day it is. Whoever comes by, whether it's sanitation workers or police officers or a press vehicle, the cheers go, the confetti flies. It's just, you know, that kind of day. I've gotten a couple of cheers myself, I must say. Behind me, another band, of course, New York City Police is strutting their stuff. A couple of Yankee caps. See? Did I tell you? You gotta love New Yorkers. They are just about the friendliest people we know. I wish Atlanta would believe us when we tell them that. It is so much fun down here. I wish you guys could come down. The sky is just raining down confetti. I want to know where they're getting it all and who is cleaning this up. It is going to take days. I will be back to you, though, when things get further along. For now, I have to go.
Didn't they tell you, Lara? You're cleaning it up.
Yeah, the brooms are on their way.
You're on detail after the parade. How about that?
I did the morning show.
Oh.
Yeah, we certainly wish we were down there as well. I guess we could use some confetti in here. Make it seem a little more realistic for us.
I think Matthew Broderick is her favorite. I think she got more excited with Matthew Broderick.
You know, if she looks around, not Joe Piscopo, yeah, it is Joe Piscopo, is supposed to be out there as well.
I think I see him right there, second head from the right. Hi, Joe.
Yeah, he's the one.
You know, he was down in Atlanta. He made the trip, and he said he was coming back. He's a big Yankees fan. I saw him in the tunnel, as a matter of fact, after Game 5 in Atlanta, and he said, I'll see you back up north. Joe Piscopo is a big Yankees fan.
Right in New Jersey. Out there as well. The pictures just speak for themselves, don't they?
I'm telling you, see these...
Guess the first of the floats are starting to arrive there at City Hall, David?
Yeah, they are, Greg. They're starting to circle around the back, and people are starting to gather here. We're actually in a section here where people have made a trade-off. We're surrounded by folks here who didn't have a great view of the parade. It's over to the west, but they obviously have the square-on view to the podium and with everything that the mayor's going to present. This is a section where, you know, you have to know somebody to be here, and, hey, we know somebody. You know, earlier Scott was asking about the source and some of the confetti that was falling. And a lot of stuff's been hitting me in my head, and I can't tell you the stuff you learn about people. I got a 9X phone bill here. Somebody's overdue. I got an invite to a party for the Yankees later on. I'm probably going to keep that. I got an application for a loan and housing applications. People forgot that you're supposed to shred this stuff before you throw it out. But the excitement's building around here at City Hall, as you can tell, man. People are already starting to stand up. The mayor has now stepped on the podium. I don't know if you can get a shot of that. He's there. Now he's going back up into City Hall. So we're just minutes away from what the mayor's promised will be a great program. Roz, Greg?
David Ushry, this is Scott Clark. You were down in Atlanta with us covering the fans down there, and I'm sure you had a lot of experience already today with the New York fans. Could you compare the two?
Well, Scott, you know what I was thinking? I'm glad you mentioned that because I am not surprised by this show of support and love here because what struck me, Scott, and I know you know it too, is the Yankees fans pretty much took over Fulton County Stadium after that, the first victory, and certainly after the game where Jim Leyritz hit the home run. The fans took it over. I didn't know what the home team was. I knew the Yankees were there, but so I'm not surprised by this love at all.
David, that's a ticketed event there at City Hall, isn't it?
Yeah, you got to have a ticket.
It's a reservation.
You got to have a ticket. You got to know somebody. And, you know, we had a ticket.
Is that one of the tickets that fell from the sky and hit you in the head?
I don't know what that is. It's amazing what I'm seeing out here on the ground, man.
David, what are they talking about? Somebody behind you is making an announcement. What are they saying?
They're just trying to get people prepared here. Earlier, Bob Merrill was singing, certainly a voice that everyone is familiar with. And now they're just trying to get everybody seated because they anticipate the program is about to begin.
Now, give us an idea what we can expect there.
All right, well, as you heard, there's going to be some presentations from Joe DiMaggio. The mayor indicated that Placido Domingo would sing, and also their good luck charm, the angel in the outfield, Christine Scleros, is going to be allowed to sing. But now we have a band actually playing here, and I must tell you, I'm not sure which band it is, but
the celebration continues.
Absolutely.
All right, we'll get back to you, David.
About 40 minutes ago, we heard from Lee Goldberg. Lee is on a float. He has a cell phone. And Lee, I believe he is on the John Wetland float, right?
I believe that's correct.
Lee, talk to me. Wave at me. Something.
I can barely hear you. The crowd is deafening here. I am on the relief pitcher's float. We're just inching our way down Broadway because there's barely any space to move. I have to tell you, these pitchers were actually a little bit nervous at the beginning how chaotic it was, but they're loving it and getting into it right with the crowd that loves them so much. Having a wonderful time. We all touched the paper, showering down on it, making our way to City Hall, and it is just an unreal crowd that is so just fanatic about their Yankees.
Well, you certainly get a good idea what it's like to be in the center of that. You're exactly right. The noise is deafening in the middle of that crowd. And you can see the relief pitchers are doing what they do best. They're warming up their arms.
Oh, wait a minute. Lee, can you throw an arm up there, Lee? You're not that far away. I wish I could see you. I saw a new hand go up. It might be his.
At this point, the crowd is so loud, he may not be able to hear us.
Can you hear me back there?
Yes, we can hear you. Keep talking.
I'll tell you what, it's so hard I can't even hear anything here. The crowd is so intense and loud, but they're so excited and so just thrilled to be here. I don't know if there's really anybody in work but us today.
Yeah, well, and they also say that school is open. How many school kids do you think are there? Just take a look at that picture.
Let's do the Macarena. Awesome. We believe. Me too.
We've also got all the Yankee relief pitcher families on here as well. A couple of little babies here being protected by the grounds of the city here. We're surrounded by not only numbers and numbers of officers, but also federal agents on this particular float. And I'll say, it's just incredible. What a perfect day after a perfect night when they won. It couldn't be any better out here to celebrate this victory.
All right, Lee Goldberg.
You see Mariano Rivera.
There's Dave Pavlis. See the big one here, Dave Pavlis on the left side of the screen.
Yes.
He didn't contribute in the playoffs here, but he is enjoying it just as much as everybody else, as much as David Weathers, and much as Mariano Rivera. On the far left there, you see Graham Lloyd again waving there, the Australian, and they're all enjoying it, and they're all taking part and taking credit for it because they all contributed to this effort, and they'll get their shares as well.
And how big of a hero do you think Graham Lloyd is in Australia now?
Oh, he's going to go back and just...
He'll be huge.
Oh, he will be the story for a long, long time.
For the longest time, I guess it was Paul Hogan. Now it's Graham Lloyd.
You know, and I've read a couple of quotes from Cecil Cooper, Wade Boggs, a couple of guys who are veterans who are really saying they're going to enjoy this, but they're ready to get away and just collapse and just rest. But I don't think they're going to do that yet. They've got one more day in them, but they're really looking forward to going. I think Wade Boggs is going to Canada for about 8 days of just being nowhere. Just
have to be a tremendously emotionally draining experience, I would guess.
I want to go to Atlanta and watch the mayor, who is wearing a Yankees cap, and the question is he wearing it today? He has to wear it all day.
He has to wear it all day.
I hope we get video of that all day long.
Well, and Mayor Giuliani supposedly had just now started wearing the boots that he got from, I guess, the mayor of Arlington, Texas. And for a while he thought they would jinx the Yankees, but he went ahead and put them on after they finally won the World Series. We're going now to back to City Hall, where Dinah Williams and Mark Stevens are waiting for the festivities to begin. Hi, guys.
Hey, guys, how are you all doing? I can tell you one thing, it's really loud out here. We put on the headphones. They've played a couple of renditions of Take Me Out to the Ballpark, and they've been singing and dancing, and they can't wait for the show to get underway out here. We did hear just a few moments ago, and I don't know if David Ushery mentioned this or not, but they've got an unofficial count. I say it's unofficial, but 3.5 million people at this parade.
And it seems like there's another 500,000 just surrounding City Hall here, waiting for everything to get here. I mean, they've been trying to keep the people entertained with Robert Merrill and Eddie Layton's been on the organ. and we had YMCA, which may have meant it was like after 5.5 innings at Yankee Stadium, they used to do that. So maybe they're doing the same things here. Yeah. They say 10, 15 minutes before things get started down here. And,
absolutely.
And then the second part of the Festival of Champions, or the Salute to the Champions, it's all coming together.
We're told that the team players, the coaches, the VIPs are inside having lunch. That's the game plan. Outside, we got hot dogs and free sodas, but I think they're eating much better inside. We do know also that the mayor's office has come to us and told us about a number of children that have been separated from their family members. They've got about a half-dozen kids right now that they are trying to reunite with family members. There has been a bit of confusion out here because there is such a big, big crowd.
I think right now everyone they're all being told to take their seats, and it's sort of like school. They say if you get in your spot in an orderly fashion, we'll get the program underway down here. Let's go back to the studio.
All right, guys, have all of the players arrived there at City Hall?
Yeah, actually a number of the players have arrived. I saw Paul O'Neill's float coming in several minutes ago, and they have not stepped out on the podium yet. We're told that is still several minutes away.
All right, so we'll continue our coverage, and we'll be following that celebration as well. We saw the grounds crew coming in. They were the final float. But we will continue our coverage of this Yankees celebration in just a moment.
There's nothing more important than educating our kids.
Welcome back to our continuous live coverage of a celebration for the New York Yankees. This one's been 18 years in the making, 18 years since the Yankees have returned to glory. And boy, how sweet it really is.
How sweet.
I'm telling you, the scenes, the sights, and the sounds that we've been seeing from this have just been remarkable. How would you compare it, Scott, to what the Rangers had just a couple of years ago?
It's comparable, but even bigger. I think there's nothing bigger than the New York Yankees. I mean, when you're talking about, it transcends sports, the New York Yankees. There are New York Yankee fans all over the world. And this is, what you're seeing right here is a great celebration in...
Yeah.
Okay, how about you?
Right or left field.
Yeah? Well, I sure hope those little girls will let me into the stadium, because I know they're going to probably be Yankee stars. From the Canyon of the Heroes in Lower Manhattan, Mike Sheehan, Fox News.
Indeed, and that's going to be a celebration. Can you imagine when half of the Yankees team will be comprised of women, young women who are really, you know, good at shortstop and all of that, you know?
Plenty of celebration today, as a matter of fact. They were estimating that 1,200 tons of that confetti fell in 1981 on the American hostages, and they're saying we're going to top that today.
I would imagine that they will, from what we see. I mean, I have a feeling, though, that in that crowd, they're picking it up off the ground and throwing it back up in the air again.
It's another blizzard of 96.
Okay, it's not breaking the rules at all. John and Rosanna and Tommy and Kurt out there, I want you to know that the newspaper is full of all kinds of ads, including this one that you guys may need. It's in honor of the 92nd World Series. A travel agency is offering $92 off to go to the Bahamas or Aruba. Is that great or what?
Book us one, Carol.
I think we have to leave now.
We could probably make a 3 o'clock flight.
I think we can just make it if we take the subway, right?
We've got the phones here. We'll do that, right? Now, is that for 4?
That's right. Speaking of...
I was wondering what you were doing with those newspapers, Carol. I didn't know if you were going to start shredding them up and throwing them out the window.
You see my desk here? I think I may, at the end of the day, I'm going to go bring it down there and add it to the mix.
We're sitting here working on this parade, and they're making plane reservations. What the heck is that?
You know, one thing I wanted to mention here, we had Lieutenant Higgins and his horse that Mike Sheehan just